Bhavapadma Mukya. Word for word. Ka, who is he? Nama, specifically. Tripyat, get full satisfaction. Rasavit, expert in relishing mellow nectar. Katayam, in the topics of. Mahatama, the greatest amongst the living beings. Ekanta, exclusively. Parayanatya, of one who is the shelter of. Na, never. Antam, end. Gunanam, of attributes. Agunatya, of the transcendence. Jagmu, could ascertain. Yoga Ishvaraha, the lords of mystic power. Yea, all they. Bhava, Lord Shiva. Padma, Lord Brahma. Mukya, heads. Translation: the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna Govinda, is the exclusive shelter for all great living beings, and his transcendental attributes cannot even be measured by such masters of mystic powers as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in relishing nectar, rasa, ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him? Translation, please repeat. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna Govinda, is the exclusive shelter for all great living beings, and his transcendental attributes cannot even be measured by such masters of mystic powers as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in relishing nectar ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him? Purport. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are two chiefs of the demigods. They are full of mystic powers. For example, Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison of which one drop was sufficient to kill an ordinary living being. Similarly, Brahma could create many powerful demigods, including Lord Shiva. So they are Ishwaras, or lords of the universe. But they are not the supreme powerful. The supreme powerful is Govinda, Lord Krishna. He is the transcendence, and his transcendental attributes cannot be measured even by such powerful Ishwaras as Shiva and Brahma. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the exclusive shelter of the greatest of all living beings. Brahma is counted amongst the living beings, but he is the greatest of all of us. And why is the greatest of all the living beings so much attached to the transcendental topics of Lord Krishna? Because he is the reservoir of all enjoyment. Everyone wants to relish some kind of taste in everything, but one who is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can derive unlimited pleasure from such engagement. The Lord is unlimited, and his name, attributes, pastimes, entourage, variegatedness, etc. are unlimited. And those who relish them can do so unlimitedly and still not feel satiated. This fact is confirmed in the Padma Purana, Ramante Yogino Nante Satyananda Chit Atmani Iti Rama Paranaso Param Brahma Vidiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendent pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. There is no end to such transcendental discourses. In mundane affairs there is the law of satiation, but in transcendence there is no such satiation. Sutta Goswami desired to continue the topics of Lord Krishna before the sages of Naimisharanya, and the sages also expressed their readiness to hear from him continuously. Since the Lord is transcendence and his attributes are transcendental, such discourses increase the receptive mood of the purified audience. The personality of God, the Lord Krishna, Govinda, is the exclusive shelter for all great living beings, and his transcendental attributes cannot even be measured by such masters of mystic powers as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Can anyone who is expert in relishing nectar, rasa, ever be fully satiated by hearing topics about him? So, the attributes, the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, I was just reading the other week that the one section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, whereas one of the prayers of the demigods, Lord Brahma, and he was saying that if someone could count the atoms in the universe, then they might get an idea, or start to get an idea of the unlimited qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just imagine you're counting the atoms in the whole universe. Now, these universes, of course, emanate from the Mahavishnu, unlimited universes. Imagine how many atoms. So atoms in the universes, unlimited atoms, they all emanate from the Lord. So how much more unlimited is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is the Mahavishnu form of the Lord. Then you have Krishna, who is the origin of all these different expansions and incarnations and so on and so forth. So, what to speak of Krishna? Now, it is said that, I think Bhanu Maharaj has been talking about the qualities of the living entities, the jivas, how many qualities they have. Partially they have these qualities. And then you have demigods like Lord Brahma has a few more, and Lord Shiva, then Vishnu, but Krishna, above Vishnu, as was described by Maharaj, he has his Rupa Madhurya. Rupa Madhurya, that means his form is very, very beautiful. So beautiful, unsurpassed. Even the other incarnations, they're very, Lord Rama, but Lord Krishna's form is so beautiful that his total form is the perfection, the perfection of beauty. And the total form in every part of his body is beautiful and perfect. If we were just to look at one, the lotus eyes of the Lord, that are so beautiful, they are perfect in themselves. They're like lotuses, but they also like shank, they go right round like this. Very, very beautiful eyes. And his ears are beautiful. His eyebrows are beautiful. His hair is very fine. His moon-like face. His neck is his broad chest. His long arms. Tree trunk trees. Powerful. Tree trunk legs. Very powerful. Lotus feet. So this is described. That the total form and every part. Now, in the material world, of course, Krishna's form is spiritual. The original Adi Purusha, as Lord Brahma prays. Tamaham bhajam, he is my object of worship. We chant the prayers every morning. We greet the deities. He is my object of worship. He is so beautiful. In the material world, we get a material body. And according to the previous karma, it is a certain shape and certain size, but how much beauty is there? I mean, people, billion-dollar industries set up just to make the body beautiful. Just to make the body beautiful. If someone were to have beautiful, if a man is fit and strong and muscular, then he is happy. I think generally the ladies, if they think themselves very beautiful, they're very happy. So, the man likes to be muscular, likes to have the V shape. Of course, when you get older, it becomes like the A shape. Instead of V, it becomes A. And the man likes to be very muscular. Prabhupada, he made a joke one time. He said, see these? He said, See this? It says just like flat tire. When I was young, I used to eat halva. I was very fit and strong. But now it's like flat tire. He said, this is old age, this is the body. This is the body. So, but people, you know, they want to have these things. They have the beauty and strength. But it can't be so in the material. Everything, it deteriorates. There's a beginning and there's an end to it. There's a use-by date. You know, you have your peak at a certain age. And even then it's fraught with all sorts of difficulties. You know, they say, what is the peak period of the beauty and the handsome of man? But like between 16 and 20 or something. There's the peak period, and then it goes down. I think medically they say after the age of 35 everything very much degenerates fairly rapidly. Alana, he's laughing because he's a tad over 35. So you know, after 30, so everything degenerates. But so this is the position with our bodies in the material world. But Krishna's form, Rupa Madhurya, is so the epitome of beauty. And Rupa Madhurya has a Leela Madhurya, his pastimes, the activities displayed in the spiritual world, and when he comes to the material world, very wonderful. Especially it is said the childhood pastime. Of the childhood pastimes, it is said especially the rasa dance. The rasa dance is such a beautiful. No other expansion or incarnation has this level of pastimes. You know, Lord Matsya comes, Lord Kurma comes, they display certain, Lord Varaha comes, Lord Ram, a little bit more pastime. When we come to Krishna, especially the child, especially the rasa dance, especially the loving exchanges, and this brings another quality of Krishna, Prema Madhurya, the loving, he is surrounded by the loving devotees on such a high level of prema, such a high level of prema madhurya, that he is the reservoir of love. He is the reservoir of love, and he is surrounded by so many wonderful devotees who also within themselves have that prema, that high level of prema. This is Krishna. And of course Venu Madhurya, he is very expert at playing the flute. He has different Murali, Vamsi, Venu I think is the small one, and Murali is the big one. Vamsi is in between. He has all different types of flutes made of different things, like bamboo flutes and even gold flutes and stone flute, all different types of flutes. And he plays different melodies on the flutes. This is described. Just like the first melody. When Krishna plays the first melody, then great demigods like Lord Shiva, who are in the heavenly planets, become stunned. They're stunned. They're doing their meditation, they just become stunned. They can't continue any longer. And the second melody is that the second tune is that the Jamuna flows one way, becomes stunned, and flows the other way. Just by Krishna's playing the second. And the third is that the moon is moving in this, it starts to shiver in ecstasy by hearing that melody. Krishna the flute of Krishna and the flute playing of Krishna is so wonderful, so enchanting. The moon stops. The moon in the sky stops. The fourth, the fourth is all the animals and the birds, and they all come running to Krishna. They're enchanted by that particular melody. I think the fifth is the inhabitants of Vrindavan come. The sixth, he brings in the autumn season, a very pleasant season. The seventh, when he plays, he makes all the seasons play off with each other. A little bit of autumn, a little bit of spring, a little bit of summer, and he just plays that melody, and then all these things start happening. And of course the eighth melody is reserved for Srimati Radharani. When he plays that, and she comes. Because Srimati Radharani herself is very expert at playing musical instruments, and she also plays flute. She plays many different instruments, and just as Krishna is a very exquisite dancer, you know, Radharani also is. And in the rasa dance, it is said that Krishna expands himself, and he's dancing with all the gopis. But when he's dancing with Srimati Radharani, there's a special dance that they do go into a special dance, that even everyone kind of stops and looks on with wonder. How are they doing that dance? Srimati Radharani, how's she doing those moves? So Vena Madhurya. So these are qualities that other incarnations, expansions, they don't have. They don't have. They're Krishna. And so, he is all attractive. The name Krishna means all attractive. He attracts those in the spiritual realm, high levels. What to speak of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they're very great. Lord Brahma, he is the original entity in the universe who, from him, all the planets are arranged, all the species come in, everything like that. Lord Shiva, he is another expansion of the Lord, act in a certain way. There's the story told here of Lord Shiva drinking the poison. So, Prabhupada's using these examples to show how great they are, but they are in turn, and so many worship them. But they in turn, they worship the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Krishna. Govardhana Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajam. So Lord Shiva is known, Nilakanta, he is known. He is, that story is a very famous story, I think from the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the churning of the ocean of milk. When Bali Maharaj was his heading of the Asuras, he was led the armies against the Devas. He was favoured by Sukracharya, Kavacha had this kind of invincible armour, he was favoured. And then there's another, and then so he was defeating, and of course they were fighting like that, the Devas were trying to repel them and so on. But at one point, wasn't it that Indra made an offence against Dabasa Muni? He made an offence against, Dabasa Muni Indra was on his Airavata elephant, and Dabasa Muni came, offered him a garland. He was wearing it, he offered him a garland, take please, and to bless him. Dabasa Muni is a great guru, a great Brahman, so to bless him. So Lord Indra was a little, he didn't take it so seriously. He just took the garland and he gave it, and he put it on the trunk of the elephant. And the elephant, being an elephant, just took the trunk we took the garland and then just threw it on the ground and trampled it. So Dabasa was very, Dabasa, easily pleased and easily angered. So he was very angered by that, and he could. You will lose all your opulence and everything like that. Of course, this ushered in a leela, a pastime by the Supreme Personality of God. So the Devas became poverty-stricken. They lost their power to offend great Vaishnavas. This is what happens. There was one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam where if one offends the great personalities, the great Vaishnavas, one loses the longevity of life, one loses their opulences, one loses their health. All these types of things happen when you offend great Vaishnavas. It's not that the Vaishnavas want, but Krishna doesn't like that type of thing. So therefore the reactions are. So they lost everything, and the Bali Maharaj was able to defeat them. And so they went to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma said, let us go to Lord Vishnu in the Svetadvip. They offered their prayers, and Lord Vishnu said, yes, I have a plan. There's you go and offer a truce with Bali Maharaj. He's actually a great soul. He'll accept it, and the reason being that let's get an alliance, and let's make an alliance. And because in the bottom of the milk ocean there's a great elixir of immortality, amrita, nectar, and to get it out you have to go deep. You have to churn the ocean, and then anyone who gets it out, if they take it, they'll live forever. That'll be very enthusing for the asuras. So Bali Maharaj accepted. So then the Lord outlined how to do it. Take the Mandara mountain, take Vashuki, and then start churning. And they did that, but then the mountain sank. There's a whole long story. You can read it in the 8th canto. Then Lord Kurma came, and then the mountain was on his back. And then another form of the Lord was on top. Lord Ajita was there also. They were pulling like this, and so many things. The Lord told, put in so many things, into the ocean, and then churn. And by that churning, so many things came out of the ocean. And finally, Lord Dhanvantari came out. And before Lord Dhanvantari came out, as they were churning, there's some hala or Kuta, what was the name of that poison? Kuta something. And the poison came out of the ocean, and so everyone was very, the fumes. So they prayed to Lord Shiva, and he came, and he was able to take the whole ocean was, and he was able to take that by his mystic power and reduce it to it comes into his palm. The whole ocean was polluted by poison. And blackish poison was mentioned. And so he was able to reduce it into his palm, and then he just drank it. And the tea, so it's mentioned here. So he's so great. He's so great, he can do things like that. This poison was so deadly. It said a few drops fell from his hand, and the snakes and the scorpions and the spiders, they were able to take that and be venomous. So he can do that, and we shouldn't imitate. Prabhupada actually comments there, those who imitate Lord Shiva by taking poisons, things like ganja and things like that, that is very dangerous. So you shouldn't imitate. So Lord Shiva, he's so great. Lord Brahma, he's so great. They are worshipped by the Devas. They are the supreme beings in the universe, but they in turn worship Lord Krishna. So how great is Lord Krishna? And they are attracted to Krishna because of his greatness, but they are attracted by his attributes, all these things, all these qualities, and he is the reservoir. This Ramante Yogino Nante Satyananda Chidatmani Iti Rama. Because of he is the reservoir of pleasure and the reservoir of love. So they are very attracted to him. So now, and he possesses that unlimitedly. One can never be satiated. Of course, those conditioned souls, it is mentioned that if someone comes to the spiritual life, in the beginning, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, the taste may not be there. And I was saying the other week, it may be like a poison to them. This chanting, what is this chanting? Ram, Ram, Ram. There was a famous guru that many of his followers were coming to our can centre many years ago when we had a nice can centre, and he found out about it in India. He's since passed away. But he was saying, what is this chanting, this Rama, Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Ram? He was an impersonalist. Is this all this chanting, Rama and Krishna? What is this chanting? This is a nonsense. You immediately stop going there. But they were coming because they took pleasure in the chanting. Chanting Krishna's name, chanting Rama, the quality, all are unlimited. So any aspect of Krishna is very, very enlivening. But of course, the very conditioned soul, they may take it as poison. But here I noticed it's mentioned, anyone who is expert in relishing nectar, is fully satiated. Someone who is expert. So one develops the taste, param drishtva, dahita. One develops it and becomes more and more nectar, and one never is satisfied. One is never satiated, rather. And Prabhupada actually says here that in mundane affairs there is a law of satiation, but in transcendence there is no such satiation. There is the law of satiation. Just like all of us, many of us have been chanting Hare Krishna mantra for so many years, decades. Now just imagine if that was an ordinary song. Oh, I love that song on the radio. Oh, it's just come on, yeah, turn it up. All right, you've got to chant, you've got to sing that song for the next week, non-stop, or the next month, or the next year, or forever. That's your song, right? You'd be sick of it after a couple of days. I never want to hear that song again, right? Oh, there's that song again. Oh no, right? So that's the nature of the material world. So something you're hearing, the senses, it's finite. You hear even something you like in the beginning. It becomes poison in the end. Where spiritual life, it may seem poisonous in the beginning, it becomes nectar in the end. So whether it's hearing something or seeing something, oh, I love you know, I love to see the beautiful trees, you know, but how long can you do it? All right, sit out there and watch the trees for a while. Right. Come back half an hour later, that person's gone. Right. You know, so the eyes, you know, seeing something with our senses, hearing, you know, tasting something. You know, I like to eat, you know, McDonald's burgers or something. Right? All right, that's all you're going to eat. Right? Just imagine. You know, how long can that desire last? I remember one time when we had our bus party, we picked up, we were down in Victoria, and we were going down on the south coast there, and we picked up a couple of hitchhikers. They were from Europe, and one girl and one boy, a boyfriend and girlfriend. We picked them up, and they said, "Okay, yeah, we're going over to Melbourne, and where can we take?" Oh, we were heading to the 90-mile beach. We heard about this 90-mile beach. And we want to go to the 90-mile beach. So then they were with us for a few hours, and we're talking, and gave them some pushada and like that. So then we stopped because we reached the 90-mile beach. So I said to them, "Oh, we're here. This is the 90-mile beach here." And so they were like, "Oh, the 90-mile beach, 90-mile beach. Where is it?" He said, "What you do is you see that trail there. You follow that trail down there until you hit the sand. And then when you hit the sand, turn right. Walk for 90 miles, that's a 90-mile beach." They got like, it doesn't sound so fetching now. They got to walk 90 miles. So, you know, things seem very wonderful in the material world, but, you know, how long are you going to enjoy it? It's limited. Of course, people will say, all right, one thing, you're saying one thing, but we have many varieties of things. Therefore, we have variety. You know, all right, you're exaggerating. You're making a point of just one thing. But there's many varieties. But even the varieties of things, you know, it's just like non-stop looking here, looking there. You get sick of having so many varieties. You want to go back to just one thing. You know, I'm sick of varieties. Give me just one thing. So if someone gets sick of variety, has to go back to one. When he gets sick of one, goes back to the varieties. So that's the law, as Prabhupada mentions here. This is in mundane affairs. There is the law of satiation. The law, but in transcendence there is no such situation, and the proof is that we see devotees enjoying in the Krishna consciousness. Now Prabhupada mentions that Tushanticha Ramanticha in Bhagavad Gita. He says that Matchita Madkatapana Boriyantapasma Katayan Pascham Nityam Tushanticha Ramanticha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service. They derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So now, Prabhupada goes on, he says, in the preliminary stage of devotional service, in the beginning, one starts to get a taste, one starts to relish doing the service, doing some chanting, but then later on when they mature, he says, in the mature stage, they actually are situated in love of God, in bhava and then in prema. This is a very, very high level, and they cannot think of anything else other than, you know, engagement in Krishna consciousness, associating us. Krishna is just full of rasa. Therefore, one of his names is Rasa Raja. He is the king of the rasas. So many different varieties. Talk about variety. Okay, we have a lot of variety in the material world, but unlimited variety in the spiritual world, always full of flavour, full of juice. So Lord Rasaraj is full of so much juice, so much mellow taste, and those who are on that level also full of taste and juice. They are like, I remember Buddhi Manta used to say, you know, when the advanced devotees come, you know, we have to take their association. They're like gulab jamuns. Right? They're like gulab jamuns. They're sweet. There's so much, you know, the gulab jamun, there's the nectar inside, and you have to know how to squeeze the gulab jamun to get the nectar out. He said like that. So now I know so-and-so is coming and so-and-so is coming, so, you know, they're gulab jamuns. So they just associate with them, squeeze them a little bit of it, and get the nectar. And Krishna's unlimited, great, vast oceans of nectar coming from Krishna. So, of course, these are statements in the Shastra, Lord Brahma. Therefore, there's that verse, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Dhari Devajam Vimum. That where Arjuna says, you are the supreme Brahman, you are the supreme abode. So many say this about you. So great personalities, they are dedicated to Lord Krishna, and they are relishing. They are relishing Krishna's, they are relishing each other's association. So naturally, people are looking for enjoyment. It's just natural. Anandamaya Vyasa. It's just natural to look for enjoyment, but we're looking in the wrong places. We're trying to find the enjoyment through the material body and with the senses, interacting with the objects of the senses. So they're looking, and they're mistaking things in the world to be the ultimate pleasures. And they're thinking, oh, this thing is very beautiful, that thing is very beautiful. It's all relative. It's all relative. I mean, even the male crocodile thinks the female crocodile is very beautiful. But to us, it's just a crocodile. Who would be attracted to the female crocodile? But the male crocodile is. So this is all a relative thing. I remember one time Prabhupada went into that Hyderabad zoo and they were walking through, and then the crocodile came up and his eyes were just there. And Prabhupada said, see, he is looking at us and he is thinking dinner. So he's got an attraction. So it's all, everything is relative. You know, what is very wonderful to one person is horrible to the other person. So what is pleasure, actually? What is pleasure? Really, in the material life, one doesn't really taste pleasure. It's a relative thing. And most of it is, you know, alleviation of suffering. Yesterday was freezing, us coming down torrential hailstones. Oh, today's sunny. Oh, I'm really happy today. Right? Oh, I've been suffering from this flu. I've been got this medical problem. Oh, the doctor fixed it. Oh, I'm really happy. Right? So, I mean, it's just alleviating, and Prabhupada says, alleviating the suffering. People think they're happy. They think, oh, I've got a very happy life. I enjoy life. But they really haven't experienced ananda, bliss, bhava, prema, love. They're accepting these other things as pleasure, and sometimes people use the word bliss. Oh, that was bliss. That was just bliss. But actually, real bliss they haven't tasted. They just accepted inferior things as pleasure and enjoyment and love. And you know, love in the material, that's all relative also. Love. Oh, I love you, I love you. Man and woman, they get married, I love you, I love you. You know, 6 months later, I hate you, get away from me, I never want to see you again. Right? Divorce. Right? So what is that love? I love you. It's very, very superficial. Very superficial. You give pleasure to me on the sensual level, mental, intellectual level, but if that stops, hey, you're out of here. Right? So a very superficial level of so-called love. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Now, what is that? That's not real love. That's not, so they haven't experienced real love. They're just accepting things on an emotional, material emotional level as love, and accepting things on a material level as pleasure and enjoyment. But here, at the very end here, Prabhupada says, Sutta Goswami desired to continue the topics of Lord Krishna before the sages of Naimisharanya, and the sages also expressed their readiness to hear from him continuously. Now these are very elevated, very learned scholars, but they're also very advanced devotees. So Sutta Goswami, who was going to describe all these different pastimes and instructions of the Lord and others, and the 60,000 sages that were assembled at Naimisharanya, they were enthusiastic about it. They were eager, ready. Right? Now just imagine, all right, if I told someone, all right, sit down, and we're going to hear the same topic over and over for the next 1,000 years. Get out of here. You think you are? Drag him off with a hook, you know. But here it is. The speaker was enthusiastic, and the audience hearing was also very enthusiastic. So this is another proof that of the effect and the perfection of hearing topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're not satiated. Actually, their enjoyment increases. Normally it would decrease. hearing the same thing or even a variety of things after sometimes it decreases. But actually this increases. But one has to become, as Prabhupada says, one has to become expert in relishing nectar. Rasika Bhakta. Vairashika. Remember Prabhupada, one time he said that not so many people came to a lecture in Sydney, in the town hall. And Prabhupada just spoke, Later on, some devotees apologised, and Prabhupada, we didn't advertise, and not so many people. He said, well, what can be done then? He said, they are meatheads. He actually used that word. They have got no taste. There's rasika taste, and there's vairashika, no taste. So then we have to make their situation auspicious, so they will become rasika. So they have to be purified. So for the masses, Prabhupada always said, yes, it's chanting, prasadam, purified, and when they be purified, then the taste grows, and they get the param drishpa, and increases, and there's no cap to it. It just keeps going, because Krishna's quality always increases, so also the enjoyment increases. So this is the last point that Prabhupada makes. Since the Lord is transcendence, his attributes are transcendental, such discourse increase the receptive mood of the purified audience. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Does anyone have any question or comment they want to ask?
Ramai, we hear so many glories of the holy name of Krishna that and hearing that it's completely independent and full of bliss, so much unlimited wonder. But then we hear that we shouldn't hear the holy name from non-devotees. It seems like it's the same name, the same syllable. So what's actually different between?
Well, you have to understand also that the name of Krishna is Krishna. So Krishna reserves the right to manifest himself to the devotees according to the degree of their love and surrender. So when the pure devotees are chanting, Krishna is very much manifest. He's reciprocating with them. He's very much manifesting in their hearts, in the whole situation. Krishna is very much manifest. So how much he manifests to those who are non-devotees, or those who are mocking, or those who are saying it very derisively, whether he manifests, how much he reveals himself. So there is a difference between hearing chanting from very advanced devotees and hearing chanting from not so advanced persons, or very demoniac persons. Sometimes the demons. Of course, some aspect of Krishna is there, but so they may get benefit on one side, but if they're very offensive or violent towards the devotees, they're going to get reaction on that side. So it's Krishna. The holy name is Krishna, and he manifests within the hearts, especially of those so much in the hearts of the very advanced devotees.
In the Harinam Chintamani, Narada Muni mentions that when a Mayavadi chants Hare Krishna, he says it sounds like that the holy name is coming out, but actually by that chanting he goes to hell for Mayavadi. So I guess it's very much the mentality. Yeah.
So Krishna, how much he manifests, and what he's going to do with that personality if he's offensive, and it'll be different for each one of them. Yeah. So that's a very interesting comment. Srimad Chakravarti Thakur. Yes.
Just like when Krishna appears, the devotees see him and it's wonderful. The demons see him, they want to fight him.
Yeah.
No Krishna at all. They're all covered up, so it's the same Krishna, but they're so covered with ignorance that they don't appreciate anything. So the same with the name is the name, but if you don't have some goodness in your heart and some devotion, then you cannot appreciate it.
Right. So he reserves the right. This is the verse from the Bhagavad Gita. He reserves the right to reveal himself, and he reciprocates according to the individual. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, you mentioned that verse earlier, if we count the atoms in the universe, so that means that the Vedic literature have already come across atomic theory.
Sorry?
Atomic theory was there in the Vedic literature.
I didn't hear that.
Atomic theory.
You know, so they were talking of atoms.
Yeah.
Because the mundane...
It was there then, yeah. That was a statement by Lord Brahma, actually. Yeah.
Generally, the Greeks are sort of given the credit for coming up with it.
Well, time from the atom, you know, I mean, in the
Well, in the Bhagavatam also we have all these little particles, smallest particle, and two combined, three combined together, six combined, like this. They have a particle theory also in the Bhagavatam.
Right, yeah, it's in the Bhagavatam, yeah.
I think there's one verse...
Calculation of time from the atom is one chapter, yeah.
The time it takes for the sun to move over...
One thing is the...
Right, yeah.
The smallest particle, smallest time.
Smallest particle.
The atoms came about with the Greeks are totally...
Right,
And Vaisheshika is also about this whole idea of atoms.
right.
In the 1950s, apparently there was some group that came up with some new song. And this DJ got on it in America. This DJ got on it and he thought, this is so fantastic, I'm going to play this all night. One after another, I'm going to play this song again and again.
1,000 in a row.
So the people that owned the song ended up suing me.
For cruelty. And they're suing him for cruelty. Good story. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.